certain things they suggest for you to do. And then there are other things where, some people would say they did it. Some people would say, yeah, I didn't do it. But for me, early on, all I could get in the back of my mind was,
don't stress, live life one day at a time. Don't drink or drug and you'll be fine.
welcome back to Staying Sober with Papa Joey. First off, I want to thank everybody that has purchased my new book, Don't Drink or Use No Matter What. And no matter what means no matter what. I've had a few people reach out to me via email, and I appreciate that. One thing I will tell you, I'm not really promoting it yet. And the reason being is that I am the publisher, or my company, Papa Joey Media, is the publisher. However, I'm using Amazon as the distribution channel. And they print the book. They keep screwing up on the printing. It's been probably 6 or 7 weeks that I put the book out there, and every time I do an author's copy, meaning I order a group of books to pass out to people, there were issues with it. And it gets pretty aggravating because I want to make sure everything's right with this book, because I don't want somebody to get it with, blank pages in it. One of the printings, the table of contents, every chapter started on page 7. And the hard part, and I know if you've dealt with Amazon before, you can never get a straight answer from anybody. However, I did have an email the other day, and it really made me happy because somebody purchased this book for someone else. And I always say this. If you want to help somebody get sober, that's admirable, okay? However, that person is the one that really needs to put the effort in to get themselves sober. Well, somebody had purchased a book for this person, and lo and behold, this person, I won't use the name, read it. And they said they read it 3 times, which was pretty easy to do because it is an easy read. So, I made it that way. However, they took away from my book exactly what I want readers to take away. And that is, yeah, I do have a problem. And yes, I need to get some help. That was my only intention of putting this book out there. This is not a step-by-step guide on how to get sober, right? Because, in my opinion, there are plenty of ways that people have received sobriety. For me, as I shared it in the book and on my other podcasts, I humbled myself, and I thought I was embarrassing myself. I walked into a room of Alcoholics Anonymous on August 31st of 1992. And for some reason, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people that I met there, because I continued to go. All they told me that first meeting in AA was, hey, listen, try not to drink one day at a time and come to a meeting. Give it 30 days. Give it 90 days. And see what happens. So I was willing to do that. And I'm glad I did. And again, not pushing AA, but I have to be honest, just like I was in my book. I was completely honest with everything. There was stuff I put in my book that even my family, when they read it, which I was surprised they did because they didn't drink. But they learned things about me that they thought, but they didn't know it was true until they read it. And going back to why I wrote this book, I wanted to be completely honest with people. And I want them to think about maybe what they're going through. Well, anyways, when I was in AA, I just learned to listen. And there were times in those meetings that somebody would say something, this is early on, that resonated with me. And I said, yeah, I like that. And I've shared this before. And I left that meeting thinking, yeah, okay, what they said, I'm going through now, or I just went through, or I may even go through, because I was just beginning my divorce situation. My wife left me right after I got sober. Go figure. But anyways, we're friends now. It's been a long time. But back then, I didn't have any people here in Florida that I knew. So AA was a cool place for me to hang out. And I met some great people. And there were things in AA that I really liked. And there were some things, not so much, but that's cool. You don't have to like everything. It's kind of like, let's say you like a restaurant. You really like a restaurant, and you go in and you're looking at that menu and you're saying, yeah, this is good. This is good. Oh, I'm not going to eat that. Nah, I'm not going to eat that. Oh, man, that sounds nasty. Oh, hell no, I'm not going to eat that. Oh, but this is good. Yeah, I'll take that. That's kind of like how I felt when I went to AA. There's certain things they suggest for you to do. Nothing's mandatory. Certain things they suggest for you to do. And then there are other things where, some people would say they did it. Some people would say, yeah, I didn't do it. But for me, early on, all I could get in the back of my mind was, I'm not drinking for today. I'm not drinking. No matter what happens, I'm not going to drink. When I was going through my divorce early on, like 2-3 months into my sobriety, and I shared about it in the book and on other podcasts, my wife left me here in Florida, took my kids back up to New York. Down here all alone, devastated. I had every reason in my head to pick up a drink. I deserved it after all. Son of a B. My wife left and took my young daughters, and I'm down here alone. I came down here to make a brand new life for the family. Instead, I'm shit out of luck right now. So I had every reason in my mind to pick up a drink. But I realized something at that moment. I can get through it. Because somebody that I heard in AA kind of said something similar to what I was going through. So I didn't pick up a drink. Was it easy? Not really, to be honest with you. I wanted that mental escape. I wanted that pain to go away, but I didn't pick up. And I got through it. And I kept on getting through it. And just like a lot of people in their sobriety go through all kinds of issues, but one day at a time, they decide not to pick up a drink, or they decide not to pick up a drug. And this book right here is designed for people to think through what they're going through and then finally decide, yeah, I've had enough of this shit. I've had enough. I want to get better, and I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to get sober and to stay sober, because the important part is and staying sober, because unfortunately, I've met a lot of people who got sober. They drank a lot or they abused drugs, and they got some time in sobriety. They kind of changed their life around. They thought a little clearer, and they quit drinking and quit drugging, which is great. But something happened, and they made that choice to pick up a drink or a drug again, and all hell broke loose. So the thing is, it's great getting sober, but you got to remain sober. And it gets easier as you move forward with your time in sobriety. But there will be challenges, of course. Recently, I met with the sheriff of where I live in Florida, because I dropped off a bunch of my books to give to them to, pass out into jails or whatever, and also said I would love to speak to the inmates or to any group you have regarding people who've abused drugs and, alcohol. And it was a pleasure meeting with the sheriff. But as I was, driving home from my conversation with him, I kind of felt good that I was in a position now that I'm able to speak to people regarding, getting sober and staying sober, and also understanding that I kind of know something similar what they're going through if they're still out there, because I went through it. And for me, that was the best part of my time in AA. I was able to, find somebody that went through something I went through or is going through something and pull them off to the side and say, hey, you got a moment? Can I talk to you about something? And tell them what was going on. And they said, well, here's a suggestion. And sometimes I go, yeah, okay, that sounds good. The other times I would go, nah, I don't think that's me. But most of the time they were right. You see, because even when I was getting sober, my ego played a huge part in moving forward with my sobriety. I still wanted to do things my way. And throughout my life, even in sobriety, I made some bad choices because my ego got in the way and, a few other things. But my ego really never got in the way, per se, of getting sober and staying sober. Because my ego many times said, dude, you got to pick up a drink. You're not going to be able to go through this shit. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Just drink now, and then tomorrow start all over again. Or, go away for the weekend, have a few cocktails, have some fun, let your hair out. Well, back then I had a lot of hair, but, go out there and enjoy yourself. Get loaded, man. And then start all over again. You already know how to get sober, right? Well, no. I had to shut that part of my ego down because I know that if I decide to put a drink in me, and it would be a choice, I'm going on 33 years of sobriety. If I decide one day to pick up a drink and have at it, whatever happens is all on me. It has nothing to do with AA or the situations I'm going through or we're going through or my family. None of that. If I want to pick up a drink, I'm going to pick up a drink, and it's all on me. Just like I tell people when they do reach out that, they say, well, I've been sober for a while. And because you see, I heard this, that if you're trying to get sober, sure, you're going to screw up. You're going to drink again or you're going to use again. And that's all part of this recovery process. And I said, that's bullshit. That's not part of nothing. All right? I mean, why would you get yourself sober, go through all that work, spend all that time getting yourself sober, getting yourself clean, and then in the back of your mind thinking, well, they say that I'll probably relapse once or twice, and that's okay because that's all part of, this recovery movement, and I'll just go back. Well, guess what? No, because there are many people who thought that way, and it didn't work out for them. They went back out and had a drink. Going to go out and just drink again, no big deal, until they, rear-ended a family and put somebody in the hospital or killed them or hurt themselves, right? It didn't work out too well to just go back into recovery or to shoot up again, after an overdose or whatever, because, that's all part of recovery because, you've got this thing in your mind that, I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, they say, and this is what we do. That's bullshit. Okay, because that same mentality, unfortunately, I know way too well, and not just because of me. My daughter had that mentality. And she died, and I shared this, she died of a drug overdose 5 years ago. So Yeah, sometimes I can get pretty fired up when I hear people say that. Because no, if you're one of the lucky ones that can get yourself sober and you can stay sober, clean, however you want to say it, okay? You got to stay that way, because the reason you decided to get sober or clean was because something in your life wasn't working out and you were screwing up, and there was usually alcohol or drugs involved. Now, of course, there are other things in your life that were going on that maybe led up to that, or maybe that's the reason you chose to abuse alcohol or drugs. However, dude, that's not the answer. So it's all about, it's the personal responsibility of your own life. I don't mind talking to people. Actually, I like talking to people. I like to encourage them. But I also will call them on their bullshit. When I hear people tell me, you just don't understand what I'm going through. Man, I everything's falling apart. I need something. I get it. Oh, brother, I get it. Been there, done that. I shared last summer, I think it was last August, I was suffering with a pain, sciatica, where it was going down the side of my back, down my leg. This went on for 6 weeks, constant. And there came a time when I was laying on the floor, and I shared this before, that out of the blue, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh, if I could only have a beer or two, because I know that would get rid of some of this pain. And that was stupid, but my mind went back there, because years ago I had back problems, not like this, but when the pain came on, man, start opening up those Coors Light, start drinking them. That helped out a little, however, just for a little while. And then when the pain was gone, I just continued drinking and then just creating all kinds of different pain in my life until, of course, I got sober. So the pain of doing stupid crap kind of went away, but I still did some stupid shit in sobriety. Probably will still do it. But, somebody told me I got a very dominant, strong personality, and I always say what's on my mind, and it gets me in trouble. And they're 100% correct. I've learned to say what's on my mind, especially if I believe it. If I'm wrong, and I've been proven wrong during some of my problems, let's say, that I've had with other people or other situations, and if I was proven wrong, I always went and apologized. But I fight for what I believe is true for me. And when it comes time to being honest with people, when they ask me about how to get sober and stay sober, I have to be honest. I don't sugarcoat anything, only because I see the damage that it's caused other people and the harm from people saying it's okay. No. When you're ready, it'll be okay. Don't worry. If you screw up, if you go back out there, just come right back. You might not get that chance to come right back. Your family, who most likely loves you, might not get a chance to say that to you again. If you just think you're just going to maybe go back out there once again or just test the waters. You have to maintain the idea, or you got to come to a realization, maybe that's better, that when you really decide, for whatever your reasons are, nobody else's, whatever your reasons are, to get sober, and you really mean it, well, then you have to say goodbye to that drink or that drug. It has to be over, and you've got to accept that. Think of it as a relationship. Maybe you were in a relationship with a person that everything was fine for a long time. Then you started having problems, and then it got ugly, and there were all these issues back and forth. You kept on going back to that person, and then it was good for a little while. Then the issues got bad again and you were going back and forth and it was just miserable for you. Maybe you got into some trouble. You guys got, yelling and screaming. Cops were involved, whatever, right? There has to come a time in that relationship where you just say, screw it, I'm done. And you walk away, right? So it's the same thing with the drink or the drug. It's a relationship you have. Could be good at times. For me, it was really good at times. For me, it was really bad at times. And when I finally said my last goodbye on my last day, well, it was on August 30th of 1992. I've shared this before. I'm not going to get into the whole story. I had 4 cans of beer left in my refrigerator. I drank them all. And I said, that's it. The next day, I'm walking into an AA room. I'm done. And that's what I did. After many years of drinking and smoking, I quit smoking and drinking the same day. I'm not one of these people that want to pat myself on the back, so I don't like that. But I just tell people, certain people, because I did it, and that's all. Okay, I'm not the type of person that would say, well, shit, if I did it, you can do it. I don't like when people say that. I just said this is what I had to do. So I always wish people the best of luck. And with this channel, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be posting 12 videos where I'm going to walk a person through their first, say, month or two of sobriety, giving them some suggestions what to do. And then the rest of the time, or the rest of the videos, I'm going to be bringing people on my videos, and we'll discuss about, how they got sober, what they did, what they didn't do, what they liked, what they didn't like. Because like I said, it's not a one-size-fits-all, but the only thing that works, however you decide to get sober, and if you're honest with yourself, the only thing that will work is if you don't drink or use no matter what, and no matter what means no matter what. I'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.
Think about your serenity. Be grateful for your sobriety. Staying sober with Papa Joey. Staying sober.